Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seed Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time for Taroscopes. This will be the Taroscopes for the sign of Sagittarius. That's Sagittarius Sun, Sagittarius Moon, or Sagittarius Rising for the month of October 2023. So let's get started. All right. So we have some visual aids this month. I'm going to try to do this every month. I think this is helpful, sort of so you can visualize. And also I can visualize as well. And I don't have to, I can be a little bit more um, linear in the way I'm looking at your astrology. All right. So Sag is a Jupiter ruled sign. Jupiter right now is retrograde in Taurus. That is your house of health and well-being. It's also your house of work and service to others. You could be reconsidering things around your health, reconsidering things around how you expend your energy for work. Jupiter is a relatively it's an expansive principle. So you want to expand your work. You want to maybe expand your service to humanity, but you do have to pace yourself. Taurus, the sign that Jupiter is in, really does ask you first of all, what are your essential needs and what's your level of resources, like whether they're financial or energetic resources. Where are your resources and how can you best both protect them and utilize them at the same time? Jupiter is retrograde and moves from the 15th degree of Taurus to the 11th degree of Taurus during the month of October. The sun, of course, starts the month in Libra. For you, Libra is your, let's see, Libra is, this is incorrect. Where's Libra? Okay. Hold on, I have to fix this. I'll be right back. All right, correction made. The sun in Libra is in your 11th house of friends. The 11th house is also goals, new goals that you might have. It's a humanitarian house. And so the sun shines in that area of your chart. You know, Sagittarius, you're pretty much a humanitarian. You do care about other people. You care about far away places. It's not just like your immediate environment, your big picture. And so with the sun in that house of our connections, the 11th house is connected to technology and the internet. You might actually be having more of a, say you're somebody who has a channel like I do. You may be putting more energy into that with the sun there. But then once the sun moves into Scorpio, that happens on the 23rd of October. You become a little bit more less out there. And now this is a time for you, as the sun goes through your 12th house, to really sort of come to terms with the cycle that just happened. Once the sun moves back into Sagittarius, which happens at the the latter part of November, you sort of are reborn in a way. As the sun moves into your sign and your birthday starts coming up and it's a new year. So things are pretty steady, and then they may, your energy may be more inclined to move in the direction of that 12th house, where there's a little bit of a respite for you. So just so you know that's a possibility for you. Mercury, which has spent a long time in the sign of Virgo, partly because it was retrograde in Virgo. That was happening in your 10th house, your public standing, as it were. If you're born with a Mercury retrograde, it's a little less of an issue for you. But you had to maybe do and redo some things, some changes in your career, going over stuff perhaps. Now it's moving forward, and so you can resolve any issues especially issues around communication that occurred at that time. And then it's going to move into the 11th house once it moves into the sign of Libra. That's actually occurring on the 4th of October. So it's not in the Mercury's not in Virgo for too long this month. It goes into Libra, Mercury in Libra in your house of friends. This can be a reconnection with friends or just a focus on other people, as it were, Libra, but in a larger context, because we're dealing with the 11th house. The 11th house, it's like your friends all over the world. And then, Mercury's moving pretty fast. It was in Libra for a long time, but once it comes out of retrograde, it kind of shoots. And it actually covers 3 signs, although, as I said, it's only 3 days in Virgo, as Virgo's finishing, as Mercury's finishing up in Virgo. But then it spends some time in Libra, and then it goes into that 12th house as it goes into Scorpio. That's actually happening on the 22nd, I think. Let me see. Mercury, yes, the 22nd. So we have the sun going in on the 23rd. We have Mercury going in on, well, let's talk about Mercury first. Mercury goes in on the 22nd. The sun goes on the 23rd. And we can see that at that time. Now, again, we have your mind moving into those numinal, I think that's the word, Piscean sort of waters of cosmic consciousness. Very, very psychic time for you. So a lot of information coming in for you, but you may not be ready to share it until Mercury moves into Sag and the sun moves into Sag, and then eventually Mars moves into Sag. Speaking of Mars, it does start the month in Libra. So there's a lot of energy still in that sort of 11th house, new goals, friendships, humanitarian endeavor, technology area. It does move, and Mars has been in Libra for about 6 weeks. Not that thrilled about being in Libra, but you make the best of it. You know how to talk to people. You know how to consider other people when you're taking actions. But then it moves into Scorpio, and it likes being in Scorpio because it really digs in Scorpio. But it's in your 12th house, so there's a lot of exploration, inner exploration. You could also be doing a little bit more sort of talking to spirit or ghosts or apparitions coming in and having something to say to you. So that could be, if you're so inclined to that. Not everybody's there, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're going to get spooked, although it is Halloween, so it's a possibility. But it's a much more sort of introspective, introverted time, and then things change once everything moves into that first house again. Now the the social planets, Jupiter and Mars, are both moving retrograde this month. So society, it's much more of an internal, even though you're doing all this work with that collective energy of the 11th house, there's still this sort of energy of not really necessarily wanting to put yourself out in society with these retrograde planets. We have Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. Again, that, as we spoke in the beginning, that's your 6th house. Uranus is also there. So, and Uranus is there for a long time. Uranus is in a sign for 7 years. So this is not new energy for you, but Uranus does sort of spark things up, sudden changes, sudden opportunities, in fact, around your work and around your health. And we'll call them health opportunities, right? But Saturn is also retrograde. Saturn moves from 1.5 degrees of Pisces to 0.5 degree of Pisces. Now, it is going to station direct, but it's almost at its end of its retrograde, and it never leaves Pisces. Like Saturn doesn't go back into Aquarius and then come back into Pisces. It's all in Pisces. So all this Saturn in Pisces is in Pisces. And so it's sort of bringing you back to when Saturn first went into Pisces in March. So things around March and April are coming up again as we have these this retrograde motion. Then once it starts to move forward, then we can resolve some of that stuff. But Pisces, excuse me, Saturn and Pisces is in your 4th house. So this could be issues around family. All these things that I mentioned can be around issues around family or real estate. Your home, right? Saturn reconstructing your home. Maybe you're having some plumbing issues because it's Pisces, or water issues because it's Pisces. But these things, Saturn tests things. So it's actually testing your pipes. So hopefully your pipes are okay. And then, of course, Neptune is there, but Neptune is there for 14 years. So there's a spiritualizing energy to Neptune in that fourth house, really sort of bringing your soul forward and your soul's work forward. So a very powerful time. Pluto stations direct this month. It stations direct on the 10th. That's the 1010 portal for those of you who keep track of those things. When Pluto changes direction, it's a big evolutionary energetic shift, and it's about ready to start moving forward again. Now it's in the latter degrees of Capricorn. It's actually going to move out of Capricorn in January, and it's not quite done. It does skitter back into Capricorn in the fall of 2024, from September to right after the election, the US election. When it's in the last degree of Capricorn. I don't exactly know what that's going to mean. We're going to find out when we get there, I guess. But we're not quite done with the Capricorn energy. But now it's moving forward, and it's moving in the direction of Aquarius again, for all of us. It is your second house. Pluto in the second house can be lots and lots of resources. Okay. So good on you. All right, so that's what I want to say about the astrology. So let's take a look. We're going to do a card reading, and I have my Tarot of the Spirit to do it for Sag, because you guys are spiritual rock stars. All right. All right, let's see what's going on. Oh, I almost forgot. I do this every time. I think I've forgotten this almost every chart, everyone. We have eclipses. Lest we forget the eclipses. Both eclipses are happening in Venus ruled signs. We start with the new moon eclipse in Libra. It is on the south node of the moon. So even though it's a new moon, it's the beginning of, in a way, the beginning of an end. And it's a way for you to maybe renegotiate some relationships that you need to renegotiate. Again, that's your house of friendships. So your friends could be changing. With Pluto squaring the nodes, you could have even lost a few good friends to plutonic things. But our friends never quite leave us. Even if they leave the planet, they never leave our hearts. So they're still there, just like people we love are still there. So there's that eclipse. And we also have a full moon eclipse in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is also a Venus ruled sign. And Venus spent so much time retrograde in Leo, really sort of getting to understand our own hearts and our own value and our own spark of the divine. And so we're sort of moving from that new illuminated heart space since that Venus retrograde. Now Venus is the morning star. Venus morning star is much more martial in her energy than, say, Venus evening star, which is very, very much relationship, and you're at the height, and people are coming and bringing you stuff because you're beautiful and you're wonderful. That's Venus evening star. But when you're a morning star, you're doing it yourself. You're putting on your gear in the morning, and you're getting out there and you're fighting for what is in your heart, really. What is most precious to you? That's what you're fighting for. All right. Let us. Oops. Oh dear, I guess that one wants to be on the bottom. Okay. Let's see what the cards say. Victory. Da, da, da. So you have been victorious. You have risen above a situation, and things are growing from that. However, it wasn't easy. It was a hard fought victory. Let's see what challenges that. Relationship. Relationship, how you relate to another person. The Two of Cups is an energy of love. It's an energy of love. So I almost feel like you were a warrior for love. This sort of kind of vibes into that Venus, right? In Leo. In fact, this is a Leo card. It's a Leo vibration. Um, so yeah, this is really talking about how this Venus retrograde cycle has manifested itself in your life. So think about that. Remember, Venus was retrograde for around 40 days. She went retrograde on July 21st, and she went direct on October 3rd. And she's coming out of her retrograde shadow this month. So she's ready to come out as sort of a new and improved or reborn energy. And that's kind of where you're at. Let's see what's underneath it. The star, this is hope. This is finding your guiding star. This is also reminding you that you need to, all the answers come from within. Meditation. This is a card associated with meditation. And with all that 12th house energy, especially at the end of the month, it's going to be very productive for you to be in that state of an openness to other realms, as it were. Let's see what was in the past. Mastery. So you've been working very diligently, as most Sagittarius do, very optimistic. Even no matter what happens, you're like, I can do this, right? And so you have mastered something. I like that. Let's see what's in the sky. The universe. The universe. So this is about endings and new beginnings. It's also a card of manifestation, Saturn card. So something is being manifest. You're giving birth to something and people are seeing it. People are seeing it. Nobody's going to be, they're going to say, oh, of course. Look at who this person is. How diligent have they been? You know, they're going to be like, yeah, right? You know, unless they don't like what unless you're telling them the truth they don't want to hear. But that's another story. Your immediate future is the devil. This is an addiction card. So there could be somebody in your life that's addicted to something. But the devil doesn't have to be a struggle card, although it can be a struggle card. What are you chained to? What's keeping you from your light? Maybe there's a couple more things that you can work on, or maybe there isn't. Maybe you realize that, you know what? I'm shining my light as bright as I can. When the devil card comes up, you know, it can be very serious and it's like addiction and all this stuff, but it's also a card of humor and mirth and having a good time. Maybe it's time for you to allow yourself a little bit of capricious fun, a little Saturnalia, perhaps. Um, as long as you, of course, don't get hooked in and tied up by that. You can dabble. You can dabble in a little fun. Let's see how other people see you. Wise, you're very wise, but a little isolated, a little bit up on your hill there. Sagittarius love to be on the top of hills. It gives them the best perspective, and Sagittarius love perspective. But people see you for your wisdom. They see you for your light. They recognize that you are a teacher. Domestic situation. We have the Brother of Wind. This can be a young man who does things without thinking, creates chaos, maybe something you have to deal with. They're not necessarily negatively intended. A lot of times they believe something so deeply, and you can honestly sort of relate to this, that they jump into the battle and then they're like, oh man, I don't have enough swords, or I don't how did I get involved in this? So there's that energy. So if that's you, just be careful, you know, don't step into something you're not quite ready for. Or there can be somebody in your life, most likely a male. This is the brother, or all the nights are located in Tiphereth, and Tiphereth deals with sons. So this could be your son, S-O-N, grandson, S-O-N, right? That is creating some problems. it might be an addiction. This isn't your addiction. It could be somebody else's. So be aware. Be aware and take care, as I like to say. Your hopes and fears. Karma, I don't think you fear karma. It's a balancing of the scales. I think you say, yes, let's balance those scales. You're all about justice. You're all about what's fair. And I think that's a hope that things will balance out. And in the case of if you have a child or a grandson or a son that's in this having these issues, there is a part of you that both fears and hopes that karma will come and resolve the situation. It doesn't always resolve it in the way we might like, but it will resolve the situation. Let's see, your outcome is the Two of Pentacles, cause and effect. This is really about balancing the energy of expansion and the energy of contraction. And with the planets moving through that 11th and that 12th house, the 11th house is Aquarius, it's air, it's expansive, but that 12th house is Pisces, and it's more introspective. So this month for you is a balance between being out there and being inside, being out and being inside. We'll see if we can get a major arcana. We have the Nine of Fire here, which is called in this deck the Eye of Fire. This is about healthy boundaries. This is about having worked really hard for your boundaries. Clarity, the Six of Wands. This is seeing things, seeing clearly, seeing from your heart space. That's what this card is about. And the Eight of Wands, called the Power Shield here. This is the Eight of Swords. It's about actions need to be taken that are very specific. Very specific. And that might have to do with the devil and the sun, the brother of wind in your card. Keep your boundaries, have a clear vision, and then take the necessary actions that will prevent the person that you may be dealing with from harming themselves further. This is sort of swords are in the box here. So that's what those cards say. Let's look underneath it all. We have the Chariot, which says that you're on your path. You're on your soul's path. We have the Five of Earth, which is change around resources. And then we have the Father of Fire, the King of Wands, which is dominion over spirit and being on your spiritual path. And so despite the fact that there could be a little bump in the road when it comes to finances, and this again could be connected to that male energy, you know, I think we've all had experiences with people that we love who are involved in things that are not good for them, and it costs us money. So just be aware of that. Although I'll say that in general, you're going to be fine. But this is something that you have to deal with. So that's what the cards say. All right. Let us move to the Animal Oracle. This is the Spirit Animal Oracle by Collette Baron-Reid. And we'll see what animal spirit comes up to aid you, Sagittarius, in your journey this month. 1 minute. I have to take a sip. That's good. Hot cocoa. I usually have coffee in the morning. Well, it's actually, is it the morning still? Yeah, it's still the morning. But we didn't have a lot of half and half this morning, so Michael made some hot cocoa. And I'm like, maybe I'll have hot cocoa every morning. You still get the little bit of the zip from the cocoa. Plus, I did put a little coffee in it, so it's like a hot cocoa pee-pee. Sorry. Oh, I have too much fun sometimes. Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing as too much fun? Yes. It's called debauchery. We're not going there. Well, hot cocoa is not debaucherous. You know how else I like my hot cocoa with a little peppermint schnapps in it? Oh, So good. It's like a peppermint patty. And peppermint schnapps in years. Maybe I'll go buy some and have it in my hot cocoa. Almost ready, guys. Almost ready. I know you're like, when are you gonna stop? Haven't you figured it out yet? Talking about cocoa. Show me what animal has something to say to Sag. What animal has something to say to Sag? These cards are not being very cooperative, which is weird because they're usually quite cooperative. Okay, here we go. Hummingbird spirit, be here now. Be here now. You know, hummingbirds are beautiful, tiny, mighty. I call them small but mighty. And they're very territorial. I don't know if you have hummingbird feeders in your yard or you have in your yard things that attract hummingbirds, but they will fight with each other. For being as small as they are, they're pretty aggressive. So they're beautiful and tiny and aggressive of their territory. Of their territory. I'm not going to pick a fight necessarily, but they're very aware of the boundaries and when you cross one. And so that says a lot. I think that's also a very Sagittarius energy. You guys know how to put up a boundary, and people have to know where stop is. Okay. All right. Hummingbird. Says the hummingbird's wings beat so swiftly it can hover in a seemingly stillness that drinks deep as it drinks deeply from a flower. Hummingbird spirit comes to remind you that beauty and sweetness of life is in the eternal now, the timeless present. Here and now you are becoming the person you wish to be, to have the experiences you wish to have. Focus your energy on the flower before you, for what you desire is being provided. Yes, there are blossoms everywhere. The choice can be dazzling. Hummingbird Spirit's message is that you have no need to go about in search of something better, for all that you require and desire is before you. You will know this as you become still, feeling your connections to Spirit, who loves the unconditionality and will always provide for you. There you go. All right, Sag. Have yourself a wonderful month. Like and subscribe. Good luck with all of that stuff if that applies to you. If you are interested in having a reading with me, I do astrology, numerology, Kabbalah readings. I have a option for an hour or an hour and a half. If it's your first reading, I prefer more time so we can talk about more stuff. It's a lot to go over, but whatever you can afford to do, that's fine. You'll get the information that you need. You could like this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. If this is something that you feel has helped you, perhaps it can help somebody else. And more people will see it if you give me that thumbs up. If you'd like to do a little bit more for me, you can become a patron. There is a link below to be on my Patreon page. I'm still building that page. So most of what the people on Patreon have is stuff that's on YouTube either already, but Patreon people get it first. In fact, my Patreons will see this before the YouTube people. So if you want to be first in line, you could always become a patron. But until next month, take care of yourself. Give yourself the time, give yourself that introspective time to regroup and reconsider and just connect with all those spirits who want to talk to you. All right, guys, have a wonderful month, and I'll see you again next month. Take care. Namaste.